My name is Ronald Keine. I'm from Sterling Heights, Michigan, and I'm a survivor of criminal court corruption. A long time ago, a movie came out. The name of the movie was Easy Rider, with Dennis Hopper, Peter Fonda, Jack Nicholson. I had a Harley Davidson back then, sort of buddy of mine. We saw that movie, it became our life's purpose. We decided we wanted to be in that movie, going down the road with Steppenwolf belting out, Born to be Wild, get out on the highway looking for adventure. Well, we did that. I was at the time attending Gestalt Institute in Cleveland, coming back and forth on weekends, back here to Detroit. My buddy Doc was a foreman at Chrysler Corporation. We both quit. We dropped out completely, got on our bikes, and we headed out. And for 2 years, we traveled the States, Mexico, Canada, just enjoying life, just being bums. When you need money, you stop at a car wash. You work for a day or two. Gas was 35 cents a gallon. Our bikes got 50 miles to the gallon. And we just enjoyed life. Little did we know that a few years later, we would end up joining a motorcycle gang in California, taking a road trip, going across the United States, coming back here from Michigan, only to be stopped, detained, charged with murder, found to be guilty by a jury of my peers, beyond any reasonable doubt, sent to death row, and at one time I was 9 days from execution. 9 days from execution, when the real perpetrator, a police officer, walked into a church in Charleston, North Carolina, and confessed to the preacher of what he did. He said he had experienced a religious epiphany walking down the street. God told him that he better go fess up to what he did. And that started my release. My case was rampant, as a lot of these are. I'm one of 140 people right now in the United States, 140 of us that have all been sentenced to death and found to be innocent. We're the lucky ones. There's several they did not find out they were innocent until after their execution. I'll give their names later if you'd like. This corruption runs rampant in the United States for one reason, and I blame it on basically one man, and that name is Tony Scalia. Anthony Scalia of the Supreme Court, as long as he is on there, and along with Roberts and Kennedy, sometimes Kennedy, no human rights, no death penalty case especially, is ever going to reach them because they won't hear it. No prosecutor will ever be brought on the carpet. There's a recent case that just came up called the Keine versus Thompson case. That was John Thompson. He's a friend of ours also. He's in our group. I'll talk about that later. Scalia basically ruled that the prosecutors in the United States can do any damn thing they want, and they are beyond reproach. They cannot be touched. They cannot be sued. You can't do anything whatsoever to them. And this is going to keep happening to people all throughout the United States until those prosecutors can be stopped. Ethics should not be an oxymoron in a law class. These people learn these ethics, but they change. They have license to kill. We have government who we can't even trust to fix the potholes in our road, and we're giving government officials a license to kill other human beings at their whim.
So you got a bike, you headed out, had a great time. What group did you join in California?
I don't want to mention the name of it. Okay. It's a very nasty group.
Extremely well-known group?
Oh, they're a very outlaw group, yes.
A one-percenter.
Yes, they were not nice people, and neither was I back then, so we fit.
And did you know anything about the murder?
Nothing whatsoever. So we're on a road trip. We're in a van coming back to Michigan. We're in a van because it was winter time. And we're going back to get some motorcycle parts and stuff that I had left in my dad's garage and another motorcycle. And we just didn't make it. We ran into some... You want me to get into it now?
Yeah.
All right. Coming across the states, we took Route 40, which is the lower way to go across the United States when you come into Michigan. If you take 80, you're going to get all the snow. Southern route's a nice route. This is February. So, and these guys were hippies. Everybody hitchhiked back in those days. It was okay. People just did it. We were all the same subculture. We had no problem with each other. We got along. We understood. We were all against the man. We all wanted to drop out, get high. That was us, you know. So we got along really good. Until we caught him stealing beer. Now, when we left on this trip, we took the bare necessities because we didn't have... These guys are not going to return and testify on us. They're headed up to Toronto. And nobody ever saw them again. So they had to drop the charge. They gave us a court-appointed attorney. And gave us a court-appointed attorney who walks up to us and tells us that he can get us a plea bargain. Well, we know these kids ain't coming back. We're not taking a plea bargain. So, of course, it got dismissed. We're ready to leave, and then the prosecutor comes up and says, we have more charges on these for another armed robbery. What do you mean another armed robbery? Judge reads off this. You are now charged with to-wit, blah, blah, dot, dash, this, section code, this, slash, everything. Reading off all these numbers, to-wit, armed robbery of a gas station on Highway 40. And the judge is reading through it, and he says, he looks at our court-appointed attorney again and says, isn't this, I don't know, I forget, Clem or Joe, whoever it is, isn't this Clem's place that burned down 2 years ago up on Route 40? Our defense attorney says, yeah, that's it. It burned down 2 years. The prosecutor says, I want to see you both in my chambers. And you could hear him screaming back there. Okay, he came out and says, these guys are free. Case dismissed. Let them out of here. Now, we're used to getting harassed, but it's getting a little bit serious now. This is going a little bit too far. So we're getting ready to leave. The next thing you know, they're telling us we're charged with a murder. Yeah. Okay, come on. What do you guys want? You know, you got all our money. We don't have any money. You know, you got it. You know, we didn't have much to start this trip with. We don't have anything. What do you want? Well, they said we murdered somebody, and then we're going to have an extra. Now we got another lawyer. I guess he's better than the other one. I don't know. It's higher charge. Now we say we murdered somebody back in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they're coming to get us, but we're going to fight it in an extradition hearing. Well, I don't know what any of this is. Now, we've been in trouble before with the law, bar fights and rowdiness, drinking, things like that, but nobody's ever been accused of murder, ever questioned on one. We're not familiar with this higher court type of stuff. Well, what is this fight the extradition? Well, what it means is, which I didn't have a whole lot of equity in it anyway. I was only, what, 24 years, 25 years old? I mean, you know.
Was it canvas?
Was it canvas? No. No, it had a real roof. It had everything.
Remember, don't touch the sides?
Inside plumbing, had everything, yeah. Be careful, I'll make you cry this time. You almost had me crying there.
I can't believe I actually broke again. I got myself to a
I'm
point
so glad you
where
did.
I'm kind of numb, though. You know, where... So I thought I was going to be able to just through it like a presentation.
Two things about post-traumatic stress disorder. One, it helps to talk about it. On the other hand, every time you bring it up again, you re-traumatize yourself. Yeah. You got to balance that out. A lot of people do it with drugs and alcohol. I know people that are just total blithering fucking idiots because they can't do that.
That's what this new even psychologist said. You better make sure you test her for drugs and blah, blah, blah. I don't do drugs. I'm not some kind of freak. I don't just, it's the way I take everything. I don't know, I guess it just makes me more empowered or stronger just to keep fighting, just with, even if I have some glimmer of hope.
Well, sure, never lay down on this. You're right.
Right, you stand on your rights.
Yeah.
You stand on it.
And if I can cry, you can cry.
We'll see what happens on August 9th. I might be crying for a week.
You gotta let me know. I'll be in court with you.
2 days later, I'll be drunk. It's my birthday.
Now that's another thing, Bill, I forgot to mention. My son, Michael, the oldest one that assaulted me when I was pregnant, going, off his dad's good moral standing and character and role modelness, he had been living with his dad from February 2010, okay?
Have you ever known a government entity to act correctly?
$67,000.
$67,000.
Going to the next hearing.
You're rolling.
$67,000, which was all the 5 of us could raise back then. It was everything we had, and parents borrowing everything. That's what we came up with. And we gave it to our hotshot attorney. His name was Alan Well. And he showed up at our second arraignment, which moved us up to a higher court. I guess they didn't understand for that. And after that, we never, ever saw him again. He took off with the money. The club has a contract on his ass. And nobody's ever seen him again. He just took off with that money. Plus, I understand some other clients, some other things he was into, he took off with their money too, some other cases he had going. Then you can't even yell at him because he died. But anyway, now here we come up now, if we have a new lawyer. This lawyer comes up, nice guy and all that, totally believing we're guilty. Comes up and same thing, I can get you a plea deal. No, you can't, because we won't accept it. No, did not do this, and we are not going to take any plea thing. He says, well, okay, I'm going to do my best I have. This is the worst case I've had in my whole 4 months out of law school. We're looking at each other again like, oh, shit, what are we going to do here? We have no choice. There's nothing else to do. We get a court-appointed attorney, all right, but there's nothing. That law is called getting Wainwright, by the way. There's nothing in there that says that the qualifications of the lawyer, how long he's been, anything. It just says you get one. They could get one that just walked off the graduating stage. There's your lawyer.
And you guys call it what? Getting Wainwright?
Getting Wainwright is the rule. And there's Ross after. There's several rules after that basically says that well, it's in the Miranda warning. It says attorney will be provided to you if you can't afford one. Well, they fought us that for a while. They want us to go pro se, which means you represent yourself, because I said we come up with $67,000. We must have the money for an attorney. And when we didn't come up with one, they're threatening to give us fines. And we're in death row, and they're going to fine us. And they haven't been found guilty of anything, and they're going to fine us because we're breaking court rules by not having an attorney. Boy. So, basically our whole thing was, and I'm starting to get really, really pissed off about First Amendment rights here. I've been a bit of rebel all my life. I knew a little bit about that. And I'm thinking about what the power of the pen can do, about what Byron says about a drop of ink can make millions think. And they're using this against us. They're using this to inflame the population from which we are going to draw our jury from. And the jury is reading all of this stuff and looking at it every day on the news. This is big. They got these 5 bikers from California for murder. A college student was murdered. Now they come up and say he was also raped. That was a homosexual murder. Then they ask how they got onto us, how they figured it was us that did this, what broke the case. And a forensic pathologist, Dr. James T. Weston, he was a medical examiner, by the way. For history buffs, he's also the one who did the John F. Kennedy autopsy in Dallas. He got up there and said he looked at the body and saw that the pants were down to the ankle on the body. But it turned out later the real killer confessed that happened because he put a rope on his neck and dragged him up into the mountains, and his pants came down. He sure the hell wasn't going to pull him back up for the guy. He says obviously it was a homosexual murder because of that. And we heard a bike club came back there. Everybody knows that bikers are homosexuals, so look for a bike gang. And that's how they got onto us. And they're taking credit for this. And that's how we got onto it. We figured it out. Okay. And, you know, now here we are. There's up there were from old cases way back. He says the prosecution paid him $50,000 for his testimony. At the same time, we need witnesses, okay? When you're poor, you have to ask the judge, because you got a court-appointed attorney. He has to ask the judge for money to do investigation, to get records, for transcripts, anything. He's got to ask that. What we did a motion to the judge, and we told the judge, it was through the lawyers, there's a cop, a uniformed cop, California Highway Patrol, who gave a ticket to one of these guys when you guys said the murder was happening. This was in California, 600 miles away, and the cop will swear. We also got another guy, said Ron Keine came in and paid his rent right about the same time you said this murder was going on. And we need $625 to bring the cop in. The investigator talked to him. He got the ticket out of records. He's got the tickets. He remembers the biker. He doesn't like him. And he definitely gave him the ticket. He will come testify, but we have to pay away. The judge took 2 days to rule on that and finally said that he sees no way, shape, or form that would affect our trial whatsoever, and he denied our motion for the $625. Yet he paid the son of a gun $50,000. Okay, they paid to testify against us, and he later admitted he lied. So anyway, we're looking at all this evidence, and it's horrendous. We're looking at it and think, this is sickening. Oh God, my God, I don't even want to look at this crap, you know. Like I say, we were never in a war. I never saw anybody dead before, and they're putting these pictures up there and stuff, and the jury's looking at us like, I mean, they're casting daggers at us. Now, how do you, with a look, I mean, I don't know if an actor can not look at the jury and say, yeah, that's terrible, but it wasn't us. You can't do that. Next thing we know, they bring in 2 prison snitches. 2 guys that both say that I confessed the crime to them in prison. And these 2 guys are kept in an area of the prison called protective custody. They're away from everybody else. Nobody can touch them. Just like death row. Nobody can even come down there. Even to open a door in death row, you got to have, what do they say, 6 guards. Okay? And I'm trying to tell the jury, my attorney, what to ask these guys. And he's always telling, shut up, I'm the lawyer. Shut up, I'm the lawyer. I says, no, you have to. It was during cross-examination of these guys. And he wouldn't ask the proper questions. And he wouldn't do it. And I fired him. And I started answering, talking, and the judge, for the 3rd time in the case, offered to gag me. This woman says that she identified the van we were in. She says that we did part of the stabbings and stuff, and all the blood is all over the van. All right. And then she said I raped her. Okay. She says I cut her under her breast with a knife. And they had a woman, a woman bailiff, examine her and said, yes, she has the cuts. Turned out later in our retrial, it was from a too tight of a bra. There was no cuts whatsoever. That woman also lied. So here we are in a case that they completely manufactured, completely fabricated against us. We have nothing to do with this. And we don't know what is going on. We're thinking, do they really think they do this? No, because they're coming up with all these lies. They must know these are lies that they're coming up with. The hooker, they told her that they would get her husband out of prison, her boyfriend out of prison, if she would do this for them. And a few other things they promised they never came across. She later would confess to a newspaper reporter that it was all lies, that she never ever met us. We went through this whole trial just in shock with some of the things that they were coming up with. Not only are we losing our complete faith in the justice system that I had always believed is fair. If they're going to kill you, you killed somebody. If they put you in jail for 20 years, you robbed somebody. You did what you did, you get. You know, if you do the crime, you do the time. That's what I always thought. I never had a problem with that. And now, here's this system that I believed in going down the tubes. I'm starting to understand it's broken, it's corrupt, it's flawed, and these people are using it to their advantage against me to try to take my life away. And what does this guy gain for my life? Nothing whatsoever, except he wants to run for governor. And he's doing all this to step on me, going to do bloodletting here just so he could be the governor from a prosecutor. And that's what they hire. That's what they elect, thinking they're going to get a fair prosecutor. This guy will uphold the law. This is a jam-up guy, and he looks honest, and he talks honest, and this is what we need. They have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. They don't know that these guys are corrupt. Right now, I'm going to lead off into it a little bit, but I'll come back to the main story. Right now, as statistics have it, 67% of all capital convictions, murder cases for death row